Hello, folks. Russell Miller here at the Umpqua offices in Louisville, Colorado, coming to you this evening to give you guys some updates on the flies for Andrew. So far, the angling community has done an incredible job of banding together for one of our signature tires here, Andrew Grillos and his wife, Autumn. The outpour has been tremendous. I know that Andrew and Autumn are extremely thankful for all the support that's happened. For those of you who haven't heard, Andrew Grillos, one of our signature tires, the inventor of many flies in the Umpqua catalog, including the Hippie Stomper, suffered a stroke that was wildly unexpected. 2 months ago, he ran a 100-mile foot race. So he's in incredible shape, but the road to recovery is long, and the good news is Andrew is in unbelievable shape. He's doing very, very well. So that's a little update for you guys here. A couple other things happening in the Umpqua world. The return of the signature tire sessions. Hopefully everyone tuned in to see Lance Egan tie up some flies. For those of you who missed it, it's up on our YouTube channel, so check it out. Coming up tomorrow evening is Greg Garcia, one of our local Colorado tires. He'll be tying up 4 different flies, not to miss, especially for those of us who live in this state who like to fish the small, cool, techie stuff. Greg's an unbelievable tire, and there's a lot to offer on the signature session. Next Tuesday, Umpqua's own Alec Gerbeck will be tying up some fresh and saltwater patterns for those folks who are craving frozen drinks and warmer skies. So stay tuned next Tuesday for for Alec Gerbeck, and this Tuesday for Greg Garcia. Again, if you're tuning in with us, we've got a Flies for Andrew update here. We're closing out our portion of the Flies for Andrew section. Flies for Andrew, if you remember, sorry about that, is Pat Dorsey's calling, so apologies. Flies for Andrew is all about the community coming together and raising some money on a GoFundMe site for Andrew Grillos. Umpqua's contribution to that is 7 loaded boxes, the grand prize being this big old payload here, and it's a double-sided payload full of all of his signature patterns here. We've got kind of the salmon fly life cycle here. We've got Stranger Things. We've got some steelhead stuff, and on the other side is nothing but hippie stompers. So this is the big grand prize here. We've got, it's like 110 hippie stompers on this side, full here, and we've got 7 additional fly boxes here. This is a little techie box here with some of Andrew's smaller patterns. We've got a box here for the swingers who want to swing Stranger Things and skate Boilermakers. We've got a little salmon fly life cycle box here with some of the Dancing Rickies and Impalas. Anyway, man, it goes on and on. So all you have to do to enter in this great giveaway, I'm still showing boxes, by the way. All you have to do to enter is to go to the GoFundMe page and make a donation of $20 or more. And that donation will get you entered into this raffle, again, by Wednesday evening. $20 or more. Send us confirmation that you've donated either in our DMs or email us at marketing@umpqua.com. You'll be entered into the raffle here, and we're going to draw 7 fly box winners. And we're going to also draw 10 winners for the Hippie Stomper hat here, which is a new 2021 hat, not even released yet, but we wanted to do something special for Andrew and for those supporting Andrew and Autumn during this really, really unimaginably difficult time in their lives. So again, we've got 17 winners. So make your donation to the GoFundMe page. A link just came up. You'll also find it in our DM or in our link on our pages. But GoFundMe, Andrew Grillos, Nick English, put it all together. And so we've got the hat. We've got 7 loaded Grillos fly boxes. I can't even manage them. There's so many of them. loaded with all of his signature patterns. This being the big kind of grand prize winner here is this guy. And again, we've got a lot of cool Umpqua stuff coming up. So stay tuned to our accounts here. Tune in for Greg Garcia. Tune in for Alec Gerbeck, and really turn out for Andrew Grillos. The community support is being felt by him. We're getting messages. If you donate to the GoFundMe page, you'll be included on those messages. But it means the world to these guys. So keep the support coming. The road's long for Andrew. But check it out. And yeah, thank you for your support on this one. A $20 donation to the GoFundMe page. Email or DM us, Umpqua, or marketing@umpqua.com, and that will get you entered into this awesome raffle. What I want to do here is go through a couple of the patterns that you're going to find in Andrew's collection. So join me here at the Vice as we take a look at some of his innovative patterns. So what we're going to do here is line up and take a look at some of Andrew's patterns. He has spent time developing flies all around the world. A guide in South America and Chile, Alaska, steelhead guide in Washington. So Andrew's kind of been to a lot of different fisheries, seen a lot of different things, and developed some really unique patterns as a result of it. As we walk through his patterns here, you're going to notice he has a unique style to his bugs. They're super fishy, super user-friendly. Wink, wink, that's the name of one of his flies. But we're going to run through them a little bit here, and I'm actually going to use some of Andrew's words from our website to talk you through some of these, so it's not just me telling you how great these are. Again, for those of you guys that are just tuning in, we are looking at Andrew Grillos' collection of signature patterns with Umpqua Feather Merchants. With me here, dancing around here, is the 64 Impala. The 64 Impala is, in Andrew's words, is arguably the most desirable vehicle to turn into a lowrider. This low-riding, all-foam pattern salmon fly is basically the extension of his El Camino Golden Stone. These are designed to ride super low in the water. When you've got flies that are this big, salmon flies in particular, you want something that rides deep in that water because that fly has a ton of mass to it, the actual fly, and rides really low in there here. So we offer this in the salmon fly color here in size 4 and 6. In Andrew's words, during the first few days of a salmon fly hatch, a fish will pretty much eat anything that's big and floating. Down in the Gunnison Gorge, these trout become more selective as the hatch goes on. And so during his 6 years guiding the salmon fly hatch in the Gunnison Gorge, he found that a low-riding, less bushy pattern will continue to consistently pull fish even though they're gorged on salmon flies. So the 64 Impala was his solution to cracking the code on Gunnison Gorge salmon flies. Jake from our department has had tons of success on this in a couple of the Colorado salmon fly hatches and in the salmon fly hatch on the Colorado River itself here. So this is the 64 Impala. Next in the vise here is the Boilermaker. Andrew, I'm sure, hopefully you guys have seen some of the photos. Andrew spent a ton of time in the Pacific Northwest. On our signature page, he's got one of the most gorgeous steelhead I've seen. And so passionate steelhead angler. Just before his incident, he was over on the Grand Ronde and Snake. And so this is the Boilermaker and the green butt skunk variation here. The green butt skunk is arguably the most common and recognizable steelhead fly ever created. The Boilermaker is basically a foam greenbutt skunk for waking, greenbutt skunk waking fly for steelhead. The fly is named after the Boilermaker because when you're skating flies for steelhead, you're hoping for a fish to boil on your fly. This guy is easy to cast and pushes a nice little V-wake with the moose hair fibers here. This fly has proven itself in eastern Washington, and it'll travel well to any steelhead destination. Again, Andrew Grillo's Boilermaker's steelhead fly here. Next up on the vise is another one from Andrew's time in Washington. Let me center it here since this is a little bigger guy. This is the Cutty Buddy. And as the name implies, this is a fly Andrew developed while living in Seattle for sea run cutthroat. In his words, I don't fish sea run cutthroats often, but when I do, I fish poppers. And that's a great way to look at this pattern. For anyone who's fished sea run cutthroat, you know that they can be aggressive. You know it's casting 80 feet for all day long. But wild native fish like sea run cutthroat deserve a fly that gets crushed, and this is one of them. So this has also found plenty of activity for fishing bass, bluegill. You can see the red face of it here. I wanted to make sure we saw that. And a hard body, light profile, pushes a ton of water, but it really gets eaten well. So the Cutty Buddy, again, for sea run cutthroat up in the Puget Sound or any of your local warm water species that'll come well to a popper. This is the Cutty Buddy. Next up on the vise, hopefully needs no introduction, but I'm happy to introduce the Dancin' Ricky. The Dancin' Ricky is an awesome fly. For those of you who fished it, you know. We've got it in a ton of colors. We've got a black, brown, and tan. We've got a golden stone. This is the purple. We've got a salmon fly color, and we've got squala in it from size 12 to 6. And I'm going to read what Andrew writes about his Dancin' Ricky. Statistically, this fly has a number of traits that I tend to incorporate in my foam dry flies while maintaining that simple, low-riding, hopper stone style that I like. The body and legs hang down in the water a bit, and the wings and thorax stay afloat. I like to fish flies that get looked at, thus some of my low-riding foam patterns. It has loads of potential for practically endless color combos. I dunk this fly in some Shimasaki dry fly shake liquid, and it'll float for hours. The fly is named after my good friend and fishiest guy I ever met. Don't tell him I said that. Rick. Apparently, when he was in college and was drinking too much, he also liked to dance while inebriated. So his nickname back then was Dancin' Rick. So this is the Dancin' Ricky fly. You can see how low these flies hang down in the water there and really just offer a ton of movement. It's a 90-degree knot Andrew does on all the corners here. So those legs really hang down deep into the water and offer up tons of movement to the fly. The way this is constructed here with the hook, it's a perfect fly to fish either solo, super low in the water there, or really great for the dropper rig. So that's the Dancin' Ricky. Next up in the vise here, we have the El Camino. And the El Camino is another pattern, like the name suggests, that rides super low in the water. It's got a bunch of elk here to help it float, so you kind of get that really natural presentation on the underside, if you guys can see that here. And all of the benefits of foam, right? So the El Camino is a super highly visible fly that rides really low in the water and offers just a little bit more natural look than that Dancin' Ricky, and also keeps those those legs and rubber kind of up higher in the water, kind of really just right in the surface film. The El Camino is available in both a golden color, which is what I've got here in the vise, and also a squala, which is another beautiful, beautiful color that can be fished really almost any time of the year, and get a lot of eats. A great crossover pattern, but super imitative as well. So the next fly in our list here, right, we've done a lot of trout flies, but now we're going to do something a little different here. And Andrew's love, oh, sorry, I might have to adjust focus after bumping the vise like that. Well, I'm not going to be able to get it that way. I'll come this way here. Is the great Carpolio. He's got a couple Beavis and Butthead tattoos. If you guys ever see him at a tying demo coming up, or have watched any of his tying demos, you know about it. Follow along on his social media. You would have seen some Beavis and Butthead. And so this is the great Carpolio here. Love the name of it. It's a carp fly. It's offered in 3 colors, a black, a brown, and an olive. This is the olive in the vise here. You can see the deer head, a little bit of marabou, a little bit of flash to it, and some silly legs out the back. In Andrew's words here, we've got a fun section of the Missouri River about an hour away where we do quite a bit of carp fishing in the summertime. Unfortunately, quite a few people have also harassed the carp there, and they get really weary by August. This fly has produced more carp in the mow for me than any of the other carp flies combined. It's slender and drops through the water column quickly and has lots of enticing movement. The jig hooks really hold fish solidly and doesn't snag the bottom. Great get her done carp fly. So that is the great Carpolio. Next on the list here, we're back into the trout world here. And well, you guys can see that as well as I can. This little high-vis pink post helps quite a bit. This is the Hamburglar, which is an awesome little beetle. Terrestrial pattern here. I know Andrew developed this one down in South America. It uses, just like all Andrew's flies, it's got to have some rubber leg for some additional movement here. So it's got some nice rubber legs. He also utilizes rubber legs for hot spots on the eyes, one of the key characteristics of a beetle. And this is just an awesome beetle to be able to fish out of the boat. You're going to be able to see it a country mile away. So really long presentations where distance between you and the trout is important, and is also a great lead fly for fishing that off the dropper. So that's the Hamburglar fly from Andrew here. If you guys want to see these flies, a fuller view, I know we have a little Instagram crop going on. Check out our YouTube page, check out our Facebook page. You'll be able to see the full horizontal version here. I think this is going to be kind of funny. And I say that because it is the only nymph in Andrew's collection, is the heavy metal worm. This has become a real staple in a lot of the fly shops. You guys can't feel it, but honestly, picking it up, you can feel the weight in this thing. It's appropriately named a super slender design, so it allows it to get down in the water really well, and double pieces here for a ton of extra movement and a little bit of flash to bring fish over and blend that bead into the overall design of the fly. The heavy metal worm, if you're gonna fish a nymph, Andrew knows to just go straight to the meat. The next fly that we're gonna put in the vise here truly needs no introduction. This is the fly that most of you have likely fished, that most of you have had success on. And if you haven't put this one on the end of your tippet yet, let me tell you, you're missing out. The man behind the scenes here, reminding me that this is his favorite fly from Andrew. This is the Hippie Stomper. The Hippie Stomper is an awesome general attractor pattern. It comes in black, brown, irresistible, lime, orange, pink, purple, red, royal, and yellow. In the vise here is the pink version. You can see a little bit of flash on the underside of it mixed with the pink foam here in the high-vis version. This is offered in 10 through 18, or sorry, 8 through 18. And I'm going to use Andrew's words here to describe the fly. He's got quite a few here, so hang with me. The Humpy has always been one of my favorite general attractor dries. It's easy to see and floats well, which are two of my biggest criteria for most of his guide flies. I have always thought there's no point in fishing flies you can't see, and I really get frustrated when flies fall apart after only a couple fish. I guess that explains why so many of my flies are big foam dry flies. I began playing with the earliest versions of this fly while guiding in South America a few years back. The fish were not picky at all and liked giant foam flies, so I tied up a few foam and synthetic humpies inspired flies on a 2-aught light wire salmon hook. The fish loved the fly, and I had a blast watching my anglers fish them. Once I got back to the US, I sort of forgot about the giant foam humpy idea for a year or so. While going through a box of random fishing stuff, I came across a single giant foam humpy that was tied in an orange and black color combo. That just so happened to be the start of the salmon fly hatch in the Gunnison Gorge, where the trout just so happened to love giant black and orange flies. Despite not having what I view as the accurate salmon fly profile, my fly from South America pulled its weight and caught dozens of fish in a day during the Gunnison Gorge salmon fly hatch. This finding had spiked my interest in the foam humpy idea, and I began tying up more normal size flies in the same style. My first Colorado tied versions of this fly were tied in size 6, and I intended on using them as indicator flies while hopper dropper fishing my clients on the upper Gunnison. I knew I was onto something at that point. I finally ended up toning my giant flies down to what would be considered normal for the rest of the fishing public, 10s and 16s, and I took these flies to a couple small streams in the West Gunnison where they held up to dozens of aggressive fish. This fly, this is a great part here. The fly's name came from something I heard my friend Chris of the Gunnison River Pro say to his clients one day. His anglers were relative beginners, and they were asking him what's the best way to release a fish if they were to actually catch one. His joking response, best way to, if they actually caught one, his joking response and the look on their faces was priceless. He told them to drag the fish up on the stand and give it the old hippie stomp. Yank the hook out and kick it back in the water. Of course, he gave a real explanation after that, but I thought his phrase, hippie stomper, would be a perfect name for this fly. So the Hippie Stomper, again, the box we're raffling off has every color of this Hippie Stomper represented. Next up here is a super awesome fly and often overlooked in the catalog here. On the vise with me right here is the laser pointer fly, and I'm hoping this light is grabbing this because this is ice fiber in the wing for this fly. And you can see the flashier bottom here. And the laser pointer is an awesome fly here. In the vise is the green drake color. And you can see here that this is a true fast water drake, whether you're fishing the Roaring Fork or the Deschutes. This is a must-have fly. In Andrew's words, this fly was a successful experiment in using ice wing fiber as an indicator on a dry fly. I was hoping to find something that was different than the normal poly or Antron yarn that has worked well, if not better than normal indicator materials. I've never seen another fly that uses ice wing angel hair for its indicator, giving this pattern killer bin appeal as well as fishing appeal. Despite being an overall black fly, the pattern colored indicator makes this fly really stand out even in super low light situations. For those of you guys that have ever fished drakes on the Roaring Fork, you know that that's not a midday activity. Something that grabs a little light and can reflect it back to you offers a ton of advantage. So again, a nice classic hybrid between foam in natural materials with a little bit of a grillos accent up on top. Moving over to the more technical side of Andrew's flies here. Loading into the vise here is the Spin Doctor. And as you might guess from the name, the Spin Doctor is represents a number of different spinners here. This is the rust color, and we offer this in a black color too for tricos, and comes in size 14 to 22. The nice thing about this pattern is it has a nice hot spot there. Ooh, my focus is way off, guys. Right there. A nice little hot spot here so you can really see this fly as it rides there in the spinner. Ooh. Come on back. Here we go. So in Andrew's words, when fish are feeding on spinners, it can make for some great fishing. Although it can be extremely challenging, it can also make for an extremely challenging time tracking one's fly. Most commercial spinner patterns really sit low in the water and are tough to track, and there are dozens of other naturals on the water, or they just sink too quickly. My Spin Doctor sits right in the surface film. However, the foam back keeps it floating on the surface film and helps track anglers spot their fly. The brown drake was the first color of this fly to prove successful, so I immediately scaled it down to the rusty and trico spinner sizes and has worked well around the country. So the Spin Doctor in rust here, again, we offer it in black too. Next up in the vise here, I'm putting in the Superior Spruce Moth. Oops. Another one of Andrew's patterns here. For anyone who lives up in Montana, you know how important this fly can be to catching fish in your neck of the woods. Geared up for a grillos. Total grillos style here, a nice blend of foam, flash, hot spot, and natural materials here. Spruce moths are a big deal on a number of Rocky Mountain rivers, especially in southwest Montana. It's a relatively new hatch to pursue, and the insect's population has increased dramatically over the last decade. My Superior Spruce Moth meets all the criteria for a good spruce moth. It floats well, has a slightly shorter and fatter profile than a caddis, and it's overall tan, cream, and color. Most of the current imitation of this insect are too basic, in my opinion. Mine is the first modern-looking imitation. It floats, it's durable, and it's angler-friendly like all of my flies. The spruce moth is pretty in hatch right now, and there aren't a ton of spruce moths in shop bins yet. This is a great fly to capitalize on the popularity of the hatch. So Superior Spruce Moth from Andrew here. For all you Southwest Montana guys, I'm sure you're already hip to it. We're going to go to an awesome pattern of Andrew's here. I got to open up the jaws a little bit more to accommodate this guy. Let me back up here so you can see the whole thing. Give me one moment while I adjust my focus. So this in the vise is the Stranger Things. And Stranger Thing indeed. An awesome fly designed as a trout spay fly. You can see here, and I won't take too much of the thunder of the fly. I'm going to read Andrew's description. But the premise of this fly is to take the principles from steelhead fly design and bring them into a trout spay fly. The Stranger Thing is offered in 3 colors. In the vise here, 4 colors, is the brown. This is offered in black, olive, and white as well. And in Andrew's words, I've been messing with a simple single hook trout spay fly that will come in at a much lower price point than his Captain Crunch fly did. This is a fly that's a trout spay oriented fly, but also a great streamer pattern. It's a mashup of a zonker, a muddler, and a sculpin. It rides with the hook point up for a more positive hookup and less snagging on the bottom. He's been testing it out and making changes to the pattern over the last number of months, and happy with the straightforward, effective design of this fly. I can tell you, as a huge trout spay nut myself, this is a killer fly. Hidden underneath here, you can see if I stroke back all of that. You've got a pair of lead eyes up at the front here, a slender profile that in the water opens up and bulks out, and really makes for just a killer swing pattern. So this is the Stranger Things, available in 4 colors, size 6. Rounding the corner here, entering into the vise. Make sure we've got good focus on this guy. Is we've got the user friendly. And as the name implies, this is a great mayfly imitation. Very friendly. You can see here by the big poly wing that it's very easy to see, but carries a very slender under profile here for those selective feeders that we all too often come across here. This is offered in black, BWO, green drake, PMD, purple, and red. So a variety of colors available in size 8 through 20, kind of running the gamut of different imitations that it would offer here. And I'll, in Andrew's words here, my most low riding mayfly patterns are pretty high maintenance. Most low riding mayfly patterns are pretty high maintenance, not very durable, and hard to see. This fly solves all of these problems. I've created a mostly synthetic mayfly that floats like a cork, is really tough, and easy to see wings. The fly's body sits lower in the water, giving the fish a better look at it. I've been tweaking this fly since the spring of 15. I'm really happy with the finished product. It's very similar to my Hippie Stomper, only more slender and mayfly oriented. The split wing on top is one of the big differences. It floats well enough to work in fast, choppy water, but also fishes well in slick water to more selective fish. This fly started as a PMD, but I've been fishing this style in a number of the different other colors. So this is the user-friendly from Andrew. Again, this is the black color in the vise here. If you guys haven't checked this one out, it is absolutely worth doing here. So that is the only fly we're missing from this list in the Andrew Grillo selection, and it's only because we've sold out of them, is Andrew's Bob Gnarly mouse fly pattern. But I hope that you guys have been exposed to a few of the other Grillos patterns in this video here. In the vise here is the old Dancing Rick, is just to have it in there. I've never had more fun than just talking to my flies as I'm fishing them. I can give them a little pep talk. Come on, Rick. Come on, Rick. You're right in the goods. So thanks for hanging in there with us. I am going to come in here and see if I can say goodbye to you guys. Signing off from the Umpqua office. Again, thank you for everyone's support of Andrew Grillos and the Flies for Andrew package here. So definitely make sure to donate now to the GoFundMe page. Support Andrew, support his royalty flies that Umpqua Feather Merchants ties for him, and really send all of the positive vibes you can to Andrew. It's being felt, and he is on his road to recovery. So thanks for tuning in. Remember, go to the GoFundMe page. A donation of $20 or more gets you entered in to win one of 17 different prizes from Umpqua Feather Merchants. Just simply for donating to the GoFundMe page, 20 or more, send a DM or an email to marketing@umpqua.com, and you will get entered in to win one of 17